வணக்கம். My name is Srinath. Welcome back to Rediscovering Tamil Aesthetics. In our previous conversation, we explored a very simple truth. Sound which comes from the divine has to be shaped into words to become vessels that can carry meaning. But that is not enough for meaning to become memory. For meaning to become memory, it must do more than just reaching the mind. It has to reach the feeling of another soul. So information becomes knowledge only when it is felt. It led us to a very important question, critical question: how to communicate effectively? And the answer was in Alagiyal, the way of adding beauty to something, to words, to speech, to any form of creation, to make it unforgettable, to make it memorable. Aesthetics, which Alagiyal means aesthetics, which leads us to my mother tongue, Tamil, a language that is designed to make the meaning felt more than be understood. Just if we follow the grammar of this language. So, as we continue this journey of rediscovery, it's important to acknowledge Thiru Ilingai Jayarajaya, who guides me through the deep waters of Thirukkural, to the great scholar Parimelazhagar, whose 13th century commentary of Thirukkural we will be exploring, to Thiruvalluvar himself, the great poet, the sage, who gave Thirukkural to humanity, a timeless wisdom for handling life problems. And finally, to my divine mother Tamil Thai, for giving me this voice and this purpose. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Today, we are going to unpack just two words: Urai Paayiram. It's the title of the first chapter in the commentary of Thirukkural written by Parimelazhagar. Within these two words, Urai Paayiram, there exists a universe of meaning for anyone who wants to narrate a story, who wants to create stories, who wants to become a public speaker or a content creator, who wants to create things or that will be preserved by time. So let's start with the first word, Urai. On the surface level, it's called to give a talk or to give a speech. That is Urai. But in this context, within the context of what we are discussing about, it's called commentary. To understand what it exactly means, let us try to understand a metaphor. I'm sure all of you would be familiar with any kind of sports. I'm going to take cricket as an example. When you watch a match, so much action is happening on the field. I know there are like batsmen, bowlers, umpires, fielders, all these people. But then there are commentators. What do these people do? Who are these commentators? Uh, they don't just describe what's happening, right? They add value to it. They explain the strategy. They share stories. They try to reveal what players are thinking, why someone is played a different kind of shots, why the captain changed the field at the crucial over and then took a wicket. So they will try to add more value to it. They will try to bring clarity to the action that is taking place, right? So that is exactly what Uray does. It's not just a talk, it's a speech that clarifies. It takes a profound example, it takes a profound idea from an action or from a text, and unpacks it layer by layer so that the wisdom can reach clearly to everyone. The key takeaway from this is that Urai is a commentary or a speech that gives clarity. That is Urai. So let us now go to the next word, which is Paayiram. Once again, let me clarify. If you are a storyteller, a filmmaker, or any kind of creator, an artist, this word is a gift for you. You are going to love it. Paayiram is usually translated as a preface, foreword, or introduction. But of course, you know that it means much more than that. Going to break it up into two parts, Pai plus Iram. Pai means that which is spread out. In Tamil Nadu, Pai also means the mat that which we spread out on the floor when guests arrive at home so that they can sit. Say that we create a space for them to sit and have a conversation to listen to us, right? Exactly like that. So that is Pai. It's a verb to spread out. And Iram is a suffix. It's added to make the verb into a noun. Just like how teach is a verb, and if you add er to it as a suffix, then it becomes teacher. It becomes a noun, right? So just like that, Pairam is a noun by adding iram to it. So pai is to spread out, and iram together it becomes that which is spread out before. Before what? Before the main content begins. So Pairam is just like a welcome mat which the author spreads out for the readers so that they can come sit and have an experience. And it is also like a user manual that which we get with electronic devices so that we will understand how the machine functions and how to use it and how not to use it, right? So that is Pairam. A good Pairam answers the reader's unspoken questions. Should I invest my time in this book or a movie or a content? What am I about to experience? What am I about to gain from this experience? Will this journey be worth it? In that sense, Pairam isn't just isn't just an introduction, right? It's a promise, it's a disclaimer, it's a gesture of respect for the reader's time and attention. It tells right from the start whether this content is for you or not. If it is not for you, then you have permission to skip it. And that is the beauty of Tamil grammar. Here's where it gets incredible. It provides a complete toolkit to write a poem. It doesn't just ask the author to write a good intro. No, it gives you a toolkit and tells you how to do it. So there are four types of Pairam. Pudu Pairam, Sirappu Pairam, வாழ்த்து பாயிரம் and தொடர்பியல் பாயிரம். We will explore all these four in simple terms so that it will be very useful for content creators. Let us first explore Pudu Paayiram. Pudu Paayiram means general preface. I would call it the big picture intro. It is the generic whole idea of a book, if it's a book. So Pudu Paayiram answers 5 big questions which every audience have. The first one, what is the book about? The author has to explain the purpose of this book, why that author has written that book in this particular time and space. And the second question is, who is the author? The question is mostly like the author has to self-introduce so that the reader will find some way to trust the author, to understand him deeply, to understand where the author comes from, where the author derives meaning from, right? So who is the author is the second question. The first question is uh, what is the purpose of this book? What is this book about? And the second question is who is the author? The third question is how was this knowledge passed down? The author has to establish the tradition he is from, or the school of thought, or the lineage from which the knowledge is passed down. The author has to mention this. This is the third question. And the fourth question is who is this for? The author has to have a clear idea about who the author's ideal reader would be, ideal audience the creator wants. So the author has to communicate this clearly. If someone is writing physics, thermodynamics related subject, then they have to mention this is for physics students. They have to mention who the ideal audience would be. The author is not just creating content for entertaining people. He is trying to find people who are ideal for this uh, knowledge stream. That is the fourth one. Who is this for? And the fifth question is how should I read it? This is the audience penultimate question that most people have. When I take a book and I try to read things, and if I don't understand, I will not read it, right? So I need to know how I should approach a book so that I can understand the meaning clearly. And for this, there are books which mention, gives the methodology or a syntax in which the reader can understand or derive meaning from the author's words. I have read a book called Mirgapakshi Sastram, ancient work in India, and in that book, that's a commentary of an original work. In the original work, the author had given so much details about animals, domesticated animals, um, and wild animals, but he has given it in a poetic form. It's full of poetry, so it's very hard to understand. See it as a data source, particularly if I am trying to extract data from it. So to make my life easier, the one who wrote the commentary, he had given a syntax in which the poetry was written. So he asked me to always remember this syntax to derive meaning from each stanza. And yeah, so that is the fifth one, right? How should I read it? The author has to give a methodology so that the user, the reader, will get the most out of it. So this Urai Paayiram sets the stage for the entire work. With if there is Urai Paayiram, it's mostly enough. Urai Paayiram is what all the audience want to know before uh, they engage into a creative work. It's like a job interview, but the audience are have the silent questions within them. If the author answers them clearly, then they will trust the author and try to give him a chance. So that is the first type of Pairam. Podu Pairam is over. Now let's go to the second one. Sirappu Pairam. Specific intro, I would say special intro. This is like zooming in and focusing on a specific section within a book, within a subject, within something. It's a chapter, and each chapter will have a Sirappu Pairam. Inside it, there are like three things addressed. The first one is when and where this is written. Don't take it literally. When and where this is written is that why that chapter is contextually placed in that space. Like why is it the first chapter? why is Urai Paayiram the first chapter of Thirukkural? That is what we are discussing right now. Of commentary of written by Parimelazhagar. Why his first chapter is Urai Paayiram? Let's say you take any book, you will, if you see, the author would have placed each chapter in some order, in a structure, because it made most sense to him, thinking that this will give a better understanding as the reader progresses through each chapter. So that is a specific intro, சிறப்பு பாயிரம். So when and where, the first question is when and where this chapter is written, and the second question is the title of the chapter. Meaning of the title of the chapter will reveal the core subject. So the question is, what is the core subject? And the third question is, what benefit will I gain? What specific benefit will I gain from this specific chapter? Okay, because general benefit has already been told in Podu Paayiram. So now we have to say specific benefit, like going to a gym, right? The trainer will generally tell you, oh yeah, I will make you fit and ready in so and so months. And as we keep going to classes, today you have to do push-ups because we are building your arms, we are building your shoulders, we are like that. So specific benefit for each section, something will be there that has to be explained. And if I have to give you an analogy for this, then usually you might have watched any web series or TV shows. They will say previously on Breaking Bad, previously on 24, Jack Bauer fought some terrorists and could not defuse a bomb. Let's see what happened now. Let's move on. Let's move on to the third one, which is the Valthu Paayiram. Valthu Paayiram means the invocation. The invocation, or we can call it the dedication. It should come from humility. Valthu Paayiram is not about self-praise. You are not allowed to praise yourself. You have to dedicate all your knowledge, all the work that you have done to a deity or to your guru or to the literary tradition that you are coming from. Award functions, any award functions, when people get their awards, they will dedicate their awards to people who have enabled them, right? So that is Valthu Paayiram. And with this, we have completed 3 types of Paayiram. Now let's look at the fourth one, which is the most scholarly one. It's a little hard to understand. தொடர்பியல் Paayiram. தொடர்பியல் Paayiram means relationary introduction, relationary mention, references. When you are writing a document or sending a mail, you add references, right? Something like that, but you have to do it in conversation, while in conversation, while in debate, while writing something, especially during a commentary. You cannot just say, oh yeah, this is what it means. You have to bring a reference and attest it to earlier work to show that it is the meaning, to prove that it is the meaning, it is the proof. So that is why I said it is the most scholarly one. So literary students will understand this. They will have to provide these things. Even scientists should understand this. Those who write research papers, they have to mention, yeah, Albert Einstein worked on this, and I am building on it. Or sometimes it's also like I have proved that it does not exist, so I'm sharing a different perspective. Anyway, without these references, without these attachments, a scholar cannot communicate with anyone. So that is தொடர்பியல் Paayiram. Even for Even for normal content creators, we usually have to give proof and ad- share some photos or attachments and try to show that I am not making this stuff up. So we have seen the four types of Paayiram, and a good Paayiram is usually the one that seamlessly integrates all these four into one Paayiram. That is the best way to introduce one's own work. Most people, most authors, they don't write their own preface. They don't write their own foreword. They will give it to someone else as a marketing strategy or out of respect. But Tamil Grammar Ilakkanam recommends authors to write their own poem, write your own preface, introduce your own story properly in the given toolkit, so that this is not about Pairam is not about you. The Pairam is about the reader. The reader should have the opportunity to decide for themselves and decide with clarity. That is the beauty of having a good Pairam. We don't need a curator or a librarian to tell us what to read. We can decide for ourselves. And we now have to talk about the genius of Parimelazhagar. We have learnt what Urai means. We have learnt what Paayiram means. Why did he name his first chapter as Urai Paayiram? What is so revolutionary about it? Because in those times, uh, a grand Paayiram is not written for commentaries. It was written for original masterpiece. Commentaries were considered as secondary notes that were not worthy of having its own formal dedicated introductions. But Parimelazhagar disagreed with that idea. For the first time in Tamil literature, he decided that his commentary, the Urai, was so important that it will have its own introduction, its own Pairam. That is why this chapter is called Urai Pairam. Okay. When he wrote Urai Paayiram, and when first time when people saw this, when scholars saw this, they something burst inside their head. It was a twist. They did not expect to see something like that. That is the genius of Parimelazhagar. Imagine a director who has made a film now. Behind the scenes footages, commentaries of his films are going to get released. Uh, there are commentaries for Breaking Bad. If you are a fan of Breaking Bad, then you should watch it. Directors and writers, they talk, and imagine in these commentaries, at the beginning of the commentary, the director appears and communicates his core thought process. And that is exactly what Parimelazhagar did. He elevated the very act of explanation into a unique art form. There is a classical saying in Tamil: a good teacher must be like mountain, majestic and worthy of respect. A good teacher must be like the earth, Bhumi, patient and forgiving. A good teacher must be like weighing scale, tarasu, balanced and just. And a good teacher has to be like flower, to know which time is the right time to bloom and add beauty. So Parimelazhagar embodies all these four qualities. He is an amazing teacher. His preface, his Urai Paayiram, set a new gold standard for clarity and respect, elevating the very act of scholarly commentary. And now it's time for concluding this video. I'm going to recite the first paragraph from Urai Paayiram. There will be no explanation, no breakdowns today. I will just say the words as they are, so that you will get an idea of Parimelazhagar's poetry prowess. Okay, so it goes like this. இந்திரன் முதலிய இறையவர் பதங்களும் அந்தம் இல் இன்பத்து அழிவில் வீடும் நெறியறிந்து எய்துதற்குரிய மாந்தர்க்கு உறுதி என உயர்ந்தோரான் எடுக்கப்பட்ட பொருள் 4. அவை அறம், பொருள், இன்பம், வீடு என்பன. அவற்றுள் வீடு என்பது சிந்தையும் மொழியும் செல்லா நிலைமை தாகலின் துறவரம் ஆகிய காரண வகையான் கூட கூறப்படுவதல்லது இலக்கண வகையான் கூறப்படாமையின் நூல்களால் கூறப்படுவன ஏனை மூன்றுமேயாம். Doesn't it sound like a poetry? Even the introduction of his commentary, it has so much grace, it has rhythm, it touches the feeling. But hey, I'm going to stop here. Let us not discuss anything further. We have to remember the main topic of this discussion, which is the art of introduction, and Paayiram sets the narrative for us. If you are a creator like me, if you are a storyteller like me, then Paayiram is a great toolkit to have in your hand. Even if you are a storyteller, particularly if you are a storyteller, I will explain these things in the future. I will definitely share how to apply Tamil aesthetics, not just rediscover them. But for now, remember, Paayiram is the Tamil aesthetics way of introducing one's own work, so that the readers does not have to suffer to understand whether our work is required for them or not.